Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlemle in Accra on digital address GA0993341 on Joy 99.7 FM. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, Digibank. Let's go. Coming up, Rector of the Ghana Institute of Journalism defends decision of the school not to allow students who've not paid over 50% of their fees write exams.
If you haven't paid your school fees and registered, you are not a student, so you don't get to write an exam. How do we know that you are who you say you are even? We have to run the place. Invigilators, we have to pay our bills, electricity, everything.
More examinations continue with heavy police presence at the school. Also in this package, executives of opposition NDC come under mountain pressure from all sides, including Party founder Jerry Rawlings, to reduce what some describe as excessive filing fees.
The Council of Elders of the party needs to rise up and put their foot down and remind the party that we are a social democratic party.
Meanwhile, the aspirants are also demanding the Council of Elders ask party chairman and general secretary who they accuse of bias to recuse themselves from upcoming primaries. And seismologist says Ghanaian leaders lack political will to move residents along the Wager Ridge, which has been declared a potential mudslide area.
Where it is going to be a little bit jittery, the government will not wave into that. To take it away from them is another area of political risk.
We'll speak to a member of Parliament's Environment Committee who is calling on government to halt sand-winning activities to prevent a disaster. And police mount search for 3 brothers who went missing after swimming at the Nungwa Shining Beach hours to their brother's wedding.
Yesterday, the guys from Kumasi and they came to Accra for marriage ceremony. This morning, they told us they are going to beach. After that, we have a call that the sea take 3 guys.
We've got details. And in sports,
now the Black Stars have qualified for a 22nd Africa Cup of Nations tournament with 1 match to spare. This was after CAF confirmed Sierra Leone's disqualification from the 2019 qualifiers. We have a reaction coming in from Sierra Leone FA.
And later in the bulletin, pastors who failed to pay tax on anointing oil and holy water sold in their churches could face prosecution.
As a man of God, is he not an individual? And is he not accountable to the state? First, civic responsibility to the state.
Yes, he is too.
More from the Ghana Revenue Authority later. Thanks for joining me. I'm Bernice Abubeidu Lansa. The details now. Rector of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, Professor Kwamena Kwansa Edu, has been defending the school's decision to disallow students who have not paid at least half of their fees from writing exams. He says the students' refusal to pay their fees after examinations compelled school authorities to enforce an already existing regulation on payment of fees. Some students over the weekend were barred from writing the exams, causing them to protest at the school to show their displeasure. Management meeting today is expected to decide the fate of those who missed out on Sunday's exam. My colleague Maxwell Agbaba has been speaking to Rector of the Ghana Institute of Journalism.
There are people who have their certificates lying around. There are students who wrote an undertaking last semester, not last year, just last semester, who are still students here, who wrote an undertaking and said, we will pay, and some have gone, who did not pay. There are a lot of them in the system like that. Meanwhile, we have to run the place. We have to make arrangements for exam booklets. We have to pay invigilators. We have to pay our bills, electricity, everything. All of that comes from what government calls academic facility user fees. If they don't pay, or after they have done this, if they go and they don't pay, of what use is the certificate to us? Okay. We need those monies to run the place.
I want to know the way forward. And then even as we hear this management meeting today, maybe you want to tell us what exactly we discussing at the management meeting and the way forward, basically, for the papers that were cancelled.
Look, we will in time communicate to the students a new date for writing that exam. We will do that. And as you rightly said, management is going to have a meeting. We will discuss the way forward and come up with how we are going to deal with this. But the point we are making is this. If you haven't paid your school fees and registered, you are not a student. So you don't get to write an exam. How do we know that you are who you say you are even? You are not a student.
But what of students who genuinely have financial constraints? Dr. Kwanzaa Edu says the school's management is working on getting financial aid for them.
Management, we are having conversations about just how we can put together some funds that will have a set criteria and mechanisms in place that can help some students. Here is the thing. We cannot help everybody in the same way that as a country, we don't have a social welfare system that helps all the poor people. We cannot have a system that helps, let's say, even 10% of our students pay their fees. No. We are working on putting in place mechanisms where we can help some students.
Some that we spoke to, we understand that explanation of continuing students. First students 80%, continuing students 60%. Yeah. We understand that. But there are some people who are raising concerns, some students who are saying that we've paid all our fees, but the portal did not allow us to register. So if the portal did not allow them to register, why then blame them and bar them from writing exams?
Look, I do not know how and why, but we are not unreasonable. We know that sometimes systems don't work the way they should. I think that sometimes, and as these things do, and it's happened to me, and I'm sure many people, when so many people are trying to get on a system, it doesn't matter what system you have in place. When so many people are trying to get on a system at once, there are hitches. So you stay on for 1-2 hours. And it's happened to me a number of times when I've been trying to enter some system to do something. A lot of people are on it as well. You stay on 2 hours, you're still there, you haven't been able to do what you want to do. And I doubt if any of them will stay there for that long anyway. Conclusion is that the system hasn't allowed us. But assuming that even the system did not allow you, we have said to them, if you actually paid your fee by the due date and the system did not allow you, come and we will help you sort this thing out.
You heard the rector of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, Professor Kwanzaa Edu, speaking to my colleague Maxwell Agbagba. We understand that management is in a meeting with the Student Representative Council. We'll bring you updates on that, especially on the fate of those who missed out on Sunday's exams. To some other stories, we saw an entire community washed away in Sierra Leone just a year ago with over 1,000 people. Not one, not 100, but over 1,000 people losing their lives. This number included women, children, newly wedded couples, infants, and even expectant mothers. Now, because of this dreadful event, we here at Joy News are making a lot of noise for action to be taken. Maybe you haven't heard about the warning by the EPA to residents living along the Wager Ridge. Listen to this.
Unfortunately for us as country, we have residents or people having property just downstream. The fear is that if stabilization of the ridge is not done, there is a potential of this whole thing collapsing to destroy all the properties down this ridge and also to block the entire western corridor.
You heard. Everything will be destroyed. But this warning did not come today. In 2017, NADMO warned.
The information we had is that at the region where the incident happened, there was an engineer at the city here who raised objection that people must be stopped from developing those places. And you know, people around there demonstrated and killed him for raising those concerns that people shouldn't build there because there's a possibility of this disaster coming in the near future. Today, they killed a man, but today look at what has happened. So this is a lesson for us. In Ghana, you try to tell people not to build in waterways and others, and you are insulted, castigated, or unnecessary politics into it. But at the end of the day, this thing can happen to us also. I'm just looking at Ebri, I'm just looking at Wager, I'm just looking at McCarthy Hill, and other places. We need to seriously take harsh decisions as Africans. The moment we know, and in the case of some parts of Western region and McCarthy Hill, the possibility of tremors and others are there.
You heard Executive Director of NADMO speaking in Sierra Leone when the mudslide occurred at the Sugarloaf Mountain. But residents of these places he mentioned in Ghana are not perturbed.
Because of the warning that, so you feel that it can happen. Every dies, all die, we die. So when you are at the down there, the earthquake, you can die. The same thing, this place too, you can die.
Because it's dangerous, looking at where we stay, under a mountain. But it's a natural thing, there's nothing you can do about it. Until then, we don't know what will happen.
We no matter what 2 years ago, and he said, I heard about it 2 years ago, but there's nothing we can do for now. We know we may lose our lives and properties should a disaster occur, but we're just praying nothing bad happens.
I doubt a mudslide may occur. At worst, anytime it rains, only portions of it will be washed away. By the grace of God, it will never collapse.
While the EPA is still warning about a looming disaster, a seismologist, Professor Amamu, says successive governments have failed to take any action because they fear they could lose votes.
On the governance side, we have institutions that work daily as overseers, as anticipatory agencies that give the warning and so on and so forth. But it all comes to one point: who controls the land? And here in Ghana, we have this indirect rule that was started, has still continued. So we have about 80% of the land in the hold of the chiefs. So always where it is going to be a little bit jittery, the government will not wave into that. To take it away from them is another area of political risk. So they will leave it just as it is.
Well, you may not have been to the area to see the ridge, which now has a very weak base as a result of human activities, including mining, sand winning, I beg your pardon. Raymond Aqua has seen photos taken by David Ando and joins me. Raymond, kindly describe what we see in these pictures.
So the stretch, actually, the ridge is over some 600 meters. It's within the Gassaut municipality. What you see from there is the effect of sand winning, blasting of rocks and excavation near Asamoah's Lazarus building. It seriously weakened the sedimentary rocks, which is resulting in very deep gullies ranging between 20 and 30 meters with high potentials of a landslide during rains. This is how this may happen. Now, the sedimentary rocks are interbedded with phyllites and quartz. Therefore, whenever it rained, the clay that held it together often gets softened and the silt was washed downstream, choking drains along the drain and all of that. But what it does also weakens the base of it, so it can easily split. What holds the rocks together is virtually leaving the rock to be on its own, and the silt is extremely weak now. So it can fall off at any point in time. That's what the situation is. And at different points. This is worsened by the fact that the activities there, people are cutting the few trees along that particular stretch to burn for charcoal and all of that, exposing the ridge to also serious erosion. So erosion has worsened the gully situation, which is already created by what the other activities have done to the place. So this is almost like looming disaster. Anytime could happen. With a slight push, you could feel the effect there. In fact, the residents have also complained that they actually hear some sounds, their buildings shaking, and some of the buildings, including that of Asamoah, are sitting at the edge of the cliff to the point that it will require a small push for all of that to fall.
Really disturbing details there, Raymond Aqua. Thank you very much. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to ranking member on the Environment, Science and Technology Committee of Parliament, Telabi Ebenezer Oklete. Thank you, sir, for joining us this afternoon. Now, we haven't heard your committee in all of this. What do you make of the situation?
Well, thank you very much. Indeed, what we are reaping is as a result of the uncoordinated nature of our development policies and programs. I've said it over and over in Parliament. In my presentation, this, my debate on this very, economic policy that the government presented, what I said was that we have a situation where, when it comes to development, each ministry, each department does his own thing. You understand? They do their own thing, and at the end of the day, you realize that today, as I speak to you, those up there, don't they have electricity? Do they have electricity, madam? Hello?
Yes, sir, I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you, sir.
Do they have electricity?
We have seen some homes that have been connected.
They have electricity. What informed the Electricity Corporation that they extended electricity to that area? What informed them? If indeed the EPA thinks that the place, is a building that the place is problematic, what informed ECG? And I'm sure they have water. What informed Ghana Water Company?
Okay, Mr. Oklese, we understand that, but the problem has been caused already. So what's the way forward?
What I'm saying is that, you see, look, we need to really look at the problem, where it is coming from. And my issue is that the problem is that we are just doing, things without coordination. Ministries are not speaking to each other. And therefore, if indeed Ministry of Energy works with EPA, works with Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, work with roads and highways, they work with energy sector, it is very easy.
Hello, Mr. Oklete. Sorry, we are missing you there. Could you please say that again? Apologies.
Energy. Hello?
Okay. Hello, sir. Yes.
Yes. If the Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of Roads and Highways, Ministry of Works and Housing, and then the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, if they have a coordinated agenda for the development of this country, what we are seeing now will not happen, because the Ministry of Energy, through Ministry, the Electricity Corporation, could just issue a fiat that if you put up a building there, you will not have access to electricity.
Mr. Oklete, I appreciate your concern there, but I'm asking, you are a ranking member of the Environment, Science and Technology Committee of Parliament. What's the way forward? The warning has come. The residents are adamant.
My brother, we must the bullet. The situation is dangerous, and we must not wait for what happened in Liberia and Sierra Leone to happen to us.
So what would you suggest? A forceful evacuation?
The people must be relocated. They must be relocated. I mean, there are no options. There are no options, because you see, the bedrock itself is wicked. The whole mountain is a mixture of sedimentary rocks being held by just ordinary clay, which can be washed away by any heavy rain. You understand? And that area itself is earmarked. I mean, it's an identified area for for various earth movements.
Finally, finally, sorry to cut in. Does your committee have any plans of initiating such an action?
Well, not immediately, but I think that once the EPA raises the question, we are going to take it up, and I'm going to impress on government.
Thank you very much.
Really relocate these people.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. You heard ranking member on the Environment, Science and Technology Committee of Parliament, Telabi Ebenezer Oklete. Away from that, did you know that about 1 in every 5 children in the country aged 2 to 17 years has a disability? Well, that is the case according to the 2017 Ghana Statistical Services Multi-Indicator Cluster Survey. Across the globe today, millions will be observing the International Day of Persons with Disability on the theme Empowering Persons with Disability and Ensuring Inclusiveness and Accessibility. Well, John News' Beryl Richter puts the spotlight on 17-year-old Herman Opoti. He suffers from cerebral palsy, but he's not letting his disability hold him back.
In Ghana, many children with disability continue to remain out of school, but Herman is one of the few children with disability who is enrolled in a mainstream school. Caleb Okai is one of the teachers of Herman's school. He has taken the class through science lessons. He describes Herman as a very intelligent and enthusiastic pupil.
One thing I've noticed about Herman is he likes to take part in everything which goes on in the class.
Herman is not only active in school, but also in church. He does not allow his condition to deter him at all. Herman is one of the members scheduled to read the scriptures to the whole congregation. Despite his speech defect, he manages to read.
I've become a daughter.
Given the right environment, attention and love, children with disability can become a good human resource to contribute to the development of the nation. Beryl and Estina Richter's report for Joy News.
Now, it's been over 24 hours and police are still searching for 3 brothers who went missing after swimming at the Nungwa Shining Beach hours before their brother's wedding. The young men, aged between 17 and 23, were part of a group that came from Kumasi to attend their brother's wedding. Selinam Ampo has the rest of the story.
It was supposed to be a fun-filled event for the Ganji family when they traveled to Accra from Kumasi to attend their brother's wedding on Sunday. But it turned tragic when 4 brothers of the groom decided to take a swim early in the morning before the event. 3 of them, however, went missing shortly after jumping into the sea. A family member, Mohammed Ganji, narrates how the incident occurred.
Yesterday, the guys from Kumasi came to Accra for marriage ceremony, and we slept together. This morning, they told us they are going to beach to look. After that, we have a call that the sea take 3 guys, and we rush to the sea there. Right now, I'm even confused. I don't know what to say.
19-year-old Ishmael, the lone survivor, tells Joy News how he attempted to rescue one of his friends.
He said, rather unfortunately, when they were bathing, he saw the way the water is coming is just changing. Then he just came back. Some of them came back. Then they saw others are going forward. He said when he saw them going, the water was trying to take them. Then he tried himself to save them. Where the water is just wanted to take them together, then he leave them then.
In a rather interesting twist of events, Mohammed said although his brothers have gone missing, the marriage ceremony would continue.
The marriage ceremony is going on. It's going on, inshallah.
The lifeguard at the beach, Mohammed Baku, shares how many swimmers disregard safety precautions at the beach.
Everywhere we put the red, flag red, because that place which means Tokrobi Wonu, and there's hole. So they know swim, you can't swim there. But the customers, if they come and swim, we can call them. If we say we will enter inside the sea, we will call them the deserters. From November to December, almost about 6 people they have died.
That was Selinam Ampo's report. You're still listening to the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. Still to come, executives of opposition NDC come under mounting pressure from all sides, including party founder Jerry Rawlings, to reduce what some have described as excessive filing fees.
The Council of Elders of the party needs to rise up and put their foot down and remind the party that we are a social democratic party.
Meanwhile, the aspirants are also demanding the Council of Elders ask party chairman and general secretary, who they accuse of bias, to recuse themselves from upcoming primaries. We've got details shortly.
My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality, but I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
It's the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Benis Abubedu Lansa. It's now time for sports. Redwan Asante has the latest.
Yes, I'm living the dream. I never thought we could have Santa Moga on the news at a point in time.
Redwan, what's the latest on the world of sports?
I caught you off guard, right? We have to talk something on national team news. And the Black Stars have secured qualification to next year's Africa Cup of Nations tournament following a CAF Executive Committee decision to disqualify Sierra Leone, and are now all their matches in Group F. Sierra Leone have been banned by FIFA for government interference, and the national teams have missed the last 3 matches. Per the new decision taken by CAF, it means that Kenya will be on top of the table with 7 points from 3 matches. Ghana second with 6 points from 3 matches. And Ethiopia have played 4 matches. Still be at the foot of the table with just 1 point. So the final game in the match between Kenya and Ghana will decide which team will be top of Group F. But reactions are coming in from Sierra Leone. Let's now hear from the spokesperson for the Sierra Leonean FA, Kamara Ibrahim, talking about how disappointed they are with CAF's latest decision.
It's actually a news that we see to be quite a terrible one, basically, because we all know how much our hopes, as a nation were alive in terms of qualifying for the African Cup of Nations. This time around, having missed out of the biggest football tournament in Africa, basically, for the past 2 decades. I mean, the last time we qualified was in 1996. So, I mean, in all of the other times, this was actually the qualifying phase every Sierra Leonean was looking up to, especially having won against Kenya at home. I mean, we had 3 points, even though we lost against Ethiopia in our second match. But after that match, the group was clearly open. In other words, we had the chance, to qualify. But now we've been disqualified, out of the group, basically. So it's actually quite a very bad news to the country.
More reactions will be coming in on this awesome track at 1 p.m. with birthday boy Gary Al Smith and the rest of the team. But we'll be talking about the big decisions by CAF. First, taking the Cup of Nations from Cameroon, stripping them off, and then this one also, Sierra Leone disqualified from the qualifiers.
Thank you, Ridwan Asante. Let's do some politics now. There is mounting pressure on national executives of the opposition NDC to reduce the filing fees for the party's presidential primaries. The NDC has set January 19 next year for its primaries, and nomination forms for the aspirants will cost 20,000 cedis, while the filing fee will cost 400,000 cedis. But the decision has been greeted with outrage by some party members, including aspirants who've described the amount as excessive. The latest to add his voice is founder of the party, ex-President Rawlings, who is calling on the party's executives to take a second look at the fees. Here is a News Desk report.
From 50,000 cedis in 2016, when the NDC was in power, the party in opposition is now asking for 400,000 cedis for those interested in leading the party into the 2020 general election. General Secretary of the party, Johnson Asiedunketia, justifies the fees.
We don't have money in the coffers, but these are the means of raising money.
No, but you don't have
without
money.
This type of raising monies from the flag bearer, chief candidates, there is no way we are going to be able to
organize the primaries.
9 aspirants eyeing the flag bearer position have petitioned the party's Council of Elders to intervene. They include Alban Bagbin, Joshua Alabi, Ekos Piogabra, Sylvester Mensah, Stephen Atubiga, Nuruddin Idrisu, Gusitano, Kojo Nonsu, and Elikplim Agbemeva. Mr. Piogabra wants the party's leadership to reduce the nomination fee for the presidential aspirants.
And as far as equity and fairness is concerned, if the issue was raising money for the party, because the party has financial difficulty, why didn't we start raising it when we were asking people to stand for branch elections, for constituency elections, for regional elections, and even for national elections? They didn't charge themselves 50,000 cedis or 100,000 cedis. But when it came to the turn of flag bearers, they say flag bearers should pay 400,000 cedis. Where is the connection?
Former President Jerry Rawlings agrees. At a meeting with the newly elected national officers last week, he pointed out that with the aspirants having barely 2 weeks to raise the high amount, a perception may be created that the party is being handed over to the highest bidder. He cautioned that certain actions or decisions could either be a reflection of the circumstances of the NDC's birth or mark a departure. One person who is not likely to lose sleep over the huge filing fees is former President Mahama, as some MPs and others have pledged to pay for him. MP for Kumbungu, Ras Mubarak, says they have raised a little over 600,000 cedis already.
In less than 24 hours, we were able to raise more than the 420,000
How much have you raised so far?
I haven't checked the latest figures yet.
But it could run into...
I'm sure it's about 600,000 cedis.
Well, national chairman of the party, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, tells Joy News a meeting scheduled for tomorrow with all the stakeholders would deal with the issue.
We are not insensitive to the hue and cry that is going on.
But of course, we want to go through the appropriate process. So if there are petitions before us with regard to the filing fee, we will look at the merit of the petition and take the appropriate steps. We will meet as executive on Tuesday. And if there is anything to discuss in relation to that matter, we'll do that.
That was a news desk report. Meanwhile, the aspirants who are challenging the cost of the filing fees are also demanding the Council of Elders as the party chairman and general secretary, who they accuse of bias, to recuse themselves from the upcoming primaries. We were able to speak to one of them, Joshua Labi. Unfortunately, we are unable to raise him on the line. We'll bring you updates on that as and when we get them. Let's move on to some other stories now. The Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Emmanuel Kofi Nti, has served notice his outfit will soon start prosecuting pastors who refuse to pay tax on sales from anointing oil and holy water. This comes on the heels of a huge debate over whether or not the sale of these items constitutes a commercial activity and therefore should be taxed. While speaking to Joy News, the GRA boss maintains the only church activities that are exempted from tax are offering and tithes.
But as a man of God, is he not an individual?
Yes, he is actually.
And is he not accountable to the state for his first civic responsibility to the state?
Yes, he is too.
At that level, you have to.
I'm asking whether your men will be bold enough to enter a church and go and do this.
If that's
yeah, of course.
You wouldn't stay in the church for 24 hours.
Yes.
So there's an opportunity for us to look at it.
This direct question is about whether you are in the position to tax Obinim's sticker business.
It's income to him. We have to tax it.
Really?
Yes.
You heard Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Emmanuel Kofi Nti, speaking to Raymond Akwa there. It's now time to know what's trending. Mapita Sibidi.
And people are talking about hashtag Monday motivation on Twitter. The first tweet I'm going to take is from @NoahBobs, who says, "You'll be too much for some people, and those aren't your people." Hashtag Monday motivation. @John McGrath says, "Most problems are caused by people, more of than by ourselves." Hashtag Monday motivation. And @Tim_Fargo says, "Even though we sometimes would not get a thing, we're happy with the joy the day would bring." Hashtag Monday motivation.
And hope this day brings you a lot of joy. That's how we wrap up this edition of the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. It's been a real pleasure serving you. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Bernice Abubedu-Lansa. Enjoy the rest of your day.
So whilst